everybody, welcome back to lesson 3. Hope you're all ready. Hope you've got all your resources in front of you as before. Okay, so as promised today, we're going to be starting to compare the fairies and the alchemists from the last couple of lessons. Okay, so you'll need your notes, you'll need your annotations. Hopefully you've not lost them. That's what normally happens in lessons, isn't it? Okay, so hopefully you're all ready to go. For the first 10 minutes of the lesson, I would like you to reread both poems, reread your annotations, and start to think about what are the similarities and the differences between these two poems. Okay, so just on a spare bit of paper, perhaps on the back of your sheet, or if you're working online, just in a Word document or what have you, just jot down some ideas, some similarities and differences. Okay, I've set up a grid there for you. It can be in a grid, it can be in a Venn diagram. I don't mind how you do it, as long as you are just thinking about the similarities and differences between these two poems. Okay, 10 minutes, off you go, and I'll meet you back here once you've finished pausing in 10 minutes. Okay, so once again, hope that you've got your own similarities and differences written down. These are the ones that I came up with, and we're going to talk through those now. Please feel free to add your own, or if you haven't these similarities and differences, then add to your notes so that you've got a copy of these in front of you. And these are going to help you definitely next lesson when we start to write our response to a comparison of these two poems. Okay, so first things first, the similarities. Let's focus on those. Okay, so there are an awful lot of adjectives in both poems that are describing the setting: mysterious, airy, let's find a different one, rushy, black mountain lake, the nighttime. Okay, so lots of different ways of giving us our imagination an image of what and where these stories are set. Okay, in both poems there is a very strong rhythm and rhyme, which we've talked about in length. A difference you'll notice is that the fairies has an alternate rhyme, whereas the alchemist has an irregular rhyme. Okay, so take care with that. You can say that they both have a strong rhythm and rhyme, but they have a different rhyme scheme. Okay, so just take care with that one. The themes are very, very similar: tone of danger, fear, supernatural and fantastical, and secrecy. We talked about in both how the writers try to engage you into the poems by involving you in some sort of secret, or something that some people whisper about behind closed doors. It's not widely known and it's not widely accepted. Okay, so that sort of involves us in the story and what's going on, makes us feel a little bit special. Okay, both poems aim to appeal to young readers, and both poems take the form of a nursery rhyme. Okay, so there's an awful lot of similarities, right down to the different animalistic imagery and the use of alliteration and things like that. So lots and lots of similarities. Now, when I was thinking about the differences other than the rhyme scheme, the other one that I could come up with was, it seems to me that the fairies is a little bit more based in nature. Okay, the glens, the mountains, the lakes, sort of giving me this image of rural Scotland, whereas The alchemist, by his very nature, is more scientific. He's sort of pottering around with his potions and his powders. And in my mind's eye, he's in some sort of tower or cottage, sort of isolated from the rest of society. But it's a little bit more scientific than natural. You know, he's sort of tinkering with the laws of physics and things that are the way that they're meant to be. And he's trying to change them to better himself because he's perhaps a little bit greedy and he wants to have lots of money. Okay, turning things into gold. Okay, just take a couple of minutes now just to think of if you can find any more similarities or differences in particular. Okay, so I've given you quite a lot of similarities. Now I want you to apply this by trying to find any differences that you can between these two poems. Okay, just want you to do this for maybe 3 to 5 minutes. See what you can find, see what you can add to the notes that we've got here. Okay, so just 5 more minutes and then I will meet you back on the next slide. Okay, so hopefully you've got some similarities and differences already jotted down on your bit of paper. I'd like you now to turn to page 4 and 5 of your Unseen Poetry booklet again. So the first 2 columns should already be filled in. So you've already filled out for the fairies and you've already filled out for the alchemist. Okay, so now the next 2 columns are what I would like us to focus on for the next 20 minutes. Okay, so you can look at your notes in the first column and the second column and you can make a decision whether these are similar or different. Okay, so try answering these questions by saying what is similar and what is different. Once again, the more detail that you can get into these boxes, this page, the easier next lesson will be. Okay, so next lesson is going to be our last lesson on the fairies and the alchemist, and then hopefully after that we'll be moving on to another couple of poems. We'll be following a similar structure of comparing 2 poems that you've perhaps never seen before, but now that we've gone through it a bit in detail, I will be expecting you to become even more independent, even more sort of thinking for yourself and applying what you've learned over these 4 lessons to some new poems. Okay, obviously I'll be taking your feedback on board and any difficulties that you've had, and I will be applying those to the next 4 lessons, so next week's lessons. Okay, just for now though, 20 minutes, I would like you to fill in the similarities and the differences columns, okay? Remembering to make sure that you're referring to these questions on the very left-hand side, okay? Off you go, and I will meet you back here in 20 minutes' time. Okay, everybody. I've noticed that I've just forgotten to change this slide to say lesson 3 with the comparison, so just ignore that. But hopefully you've got now 2 fully annotated poems. You've got a sheet with some very in-depth notes on the questions that have been asked of you, and you have compared the similarities and differences. So all of the hard work has been done now. Okay, that's the hard bit over. Tomorrow we will look at compiling all of these notes that you have come up with into some paragraphs, into an essay plan, so that you can write a response to these 2 unseen poems. Okay, don't be worried, we're going to talk through it, we're going to have some sentence starters, we're going to perhaps have a waggle, that kind of thing, so don't worry too much about it tomorrow, but make sure that you've got all of your notes ready to go. Like I've said before, the more that you can get done now on this, then the hardest work is done. Okay, if you want to do some extra research by, Googling these 2 poems and seeing what you can find out about them, finding out any of the language or structure techniques that perhaps we've not talked about, that we haven't discussed or come up with, maybe you want to send your friends in year 8 a text or a message, or perhaps you want to create yourself some kind of working chat. As long as you are on task and you are talking about the work and that you're being kind to one another, then I don't see why that should be a problem. I will not be responsible for any form of online bullying or anything like that. You know the school rules on this. However, if you want to share your ideas with people, then I'm all for that. That's really great. Okay. So have a think about whether that's something that you want to do. Maybe you want to send each other photos of the work that you've done so that you can add even more to your poems, because it's really difficult. Not ordinarily in lessons we would, share books and you'd be able to look at people on your table and that kind of thing. And it's really difficult when we're doing this online. But I'm sure you've got more ideas than I have on how you can share things. Please, if you have any ideas, I'd love to hear about them. Let me know what you're up to in terms of your extra work, your extracurricular work. I'd love to hear all about it. Thank you to everybody who has already emailed me some of your work. Again, I would like to see anything that you've come up with, so that I can check and make sure that you're on the right tracks, ready for tomorrow's lesson, because I don't want you to be writing up our essay on these two poems and you've got it slightly confused or what have you. Okay, so if you want me to read over anything that you've done, I will do. My email's at the bottom there. Anything else, just let me know how you are getting on. All right, everyone, thanks so much for turning up. I hope you've enjoyed it, and make sure you're all ready for tomorrow's lesson, the culmination. All right then, speak soon. Bye.